You're listening to Joyful Wedding Planning, your spot for de-stressing and relaxing while you plan your wedding. You might be thinking, is that even possible? Well, heck yeah, it is. I'm your host, Emily Decloux, founder of The Joy Factor, Weddings and Events, and I'm here to help you plan the wedding of your dreams joyfully. Whether you're a DIYer or a delegator, this podcast will help you find the joy factor as you plan your wedding. If everyone says your wedding day goes by way too fast, is it actually possible to stay present and enjoy every moment? Hey, I'm Emily Decloux. I'm the founder of The Joy Factor, a wedding planning company based in Toronto serving couples globally. I release new podcasts every Thursday to bring the joy factor back into your wedding planning, so make sure to hit the follow button wherever you get your podcasts. And hey, leave a rating and review. It certainly helps podcasters like me to get heard by many more amazing folks like you. So this is the first episode in a long series I'm going to be doing on planning your wedding joyfully. And I'm really focused on mindset right now because I feel like it helped me get through my wedding day in like the most joyful way possible. And I love the word joy because I feel like we really miss out on that element when we get stuck in all of the nitty gritty things and we're like, oh my God, is this tiny little detail actually going to be good or is it going to be terrible if it doesn't work out? So I thought, why not talk about staying present in the moment for your whole wedding day for the first episode, because I feel like a lot of people will get a lot out of this, and I hope you are one of them. So is it really possible to stay present during your wedding day? I mean, for the last 6 to 18 months, probably, you've been worrying and thinking about every single tiny detail, and your head's probably spinning thinking about all of the other potential issues that could come up, like whether you ordered the right meals, or do you have the frilly laced cravats for your Austin Powers themed wedding? Or if you're like me, maybe you're like, do I have enough truckloads of food to serve the only 60 guests at my wedding? Spoiler, I had plenty of food. I had a lot left over too. All that to say, all of this worrying and anxiety can definitely make it feel like it's totally impossible to stay present during your wedding day. But I'm here to tell you, it's not impossible. Today I'm going to share with you 5 ways that I was able to stay present at my wedding and enjoy every single moment of magic, no matter how fast it felt like it was going. So on my wedding day, despite the fact that I had everything planned down to the minute, I made a promise to myself that I really wanted to stay present during the entire day. And I actually spent a lot of time visualizing what all of those different things were going to be. Not just the ceremony or the big events, but also my morning walk to go pick up the bread that I would serve later that day, or the shower I was going to take, or the outfit I was going to wear while I was putting on my makeup. And you'd think that would make me get into my head about all of these different preparations, but what it actually does is ground you in the moment and make you stop and think oh, okay, I'm reaching for my green dress. That means guests are here and it's time to welcome them. Or I'm grabbing the champagne glasses. That means this is toast time. I'm going to have a heartfelt, emotional, warm toast with my brand new husband. But even though you could have absolutely everything planned down to the minute, that doesn't mean things don't go wrong. And as an event planner with over 10 years of experience, I know things go wrong. They just do. So it's good to know to just accept that things will go wrong instead of letting those events, letting those little moments make you spiral into all of the other what ifs. Oh my God, if I didn't pick up the coffee for my whole family, well, what are we going to do now? Everybody's going to be tired. Everyone's going to fall asleep in the middle of the wedding ceremony. Okay. See, it's really easy to get super far ahead of yourself and think the absolute worst. But instead of that, if you just know that stuff is going to go wrong, you're going to forget little things here and there, and that's okay, you can calm yourself down a lot quicker, and you can come up with a solution. So my solution for having no coffee at our home when my whole family came over for lunch was to ask my brother to go to Starbucks. I just placed an order on the app, he dropped everything, and he ran out and ran back, and in no time we had coffee. And in hindsight, 2 people drank the coffee. I could have just made some coffee for people in my espresso machine, but hindsight's 20/20, is it not? And anyway, instead of having a moment or 20 minutes of panic about oh my God, there's no coffee, what are people going to think? Instead, I got to share this really nice moment of gratitude with my brother because he's such a wonderful human being, and he just instantly ran out and grabbed the coffee for me like a hero. Okay, now I'm going to share with you the actual tangible ways you can prepare yourself to stay present on your wedding day. Start practicing noticing on a daily basis. Just like notice the small things. If you've ever been to therapy, I myself am a massive fan of therapy because it just like changed my entire life. If you've gone to therapy for anxiety or depression, your therapist may have given you the tip to just notice like 5 like sensory things around you. So I feel that it is very hot in my studio. That's a feeling. That's a sensory feeling. I smell the essential oil that I put on my wrists earlier today. I see the bright light in my eyeballs. Find 5 different things that you can start noticing to ground you in the moment. And the more that you practice this, the easier it's going to get. You could do this on your daily walks. I love this practice as well. I can hear dogs barking. I can see squirrels racing around, getting ready for fall. They are so fat and cute, and I love them. I can smell the crisp fall air. There's so many different ways for you to notice these little things that all help you stay grounded in the present moment. And this is going to be really helpful for you on your wedding day, because if you've practiced this, if something goes awry, or if you're super worried about like how something's going to play out, maybe a family member is like a bit of a wild card and you're not sure how they're going to act, you can use this strategy to get through those moments and to recenter instead of like letting your brain spiral out into a million different places of what if land. Number 2. Make a point to talk to absolutely everybody at your wedding, not just your family, but the bartender, the event coordinator on site, like literally everybody. Find a moment to just talk to them and have a conversation. I know that feels like, whoa, that's a lot, but you don't have to do this all in a row. As you encounter people, just take a moment to have like a brief little conversation with them, like, hey, I love your glasses, or thank you so much for being here. Thank you for traveling this whole entire way. And then as you're having this conversation, kind of take a deep breath and let them tell you all the things they want to tell you. Because, like, if you are the person on the wedding day that's getting married, they want to come talk to you, right? And that's inevitable. Everybody's going to want to come talk to the bride and the groom because that's just how weddings work. So let them come talk to you and let that be a moment that you can really savor. Like, how often do you get to see your Uncle Mark? Or how often do you get to spend time with your siblings that you haven't seen in like what feels like a decade? Take all of these moments in and just let them kind of wash over you. That's another really great way to stay present at your wedding. Number 3, take up a physical healthcare routine well in advance of your wedding so that you can take care of yourself on the actual day. On the day, make sure you're eating enough. Get a proper breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Assign somebody to bring you food if you need to do that. Based on the previous point, everybody's going to want to talk to you, so you're going to have someone like helping you out with this element. More often than not, if we're not eating, our heads get all spinny and a little bit wild. And especially if we're drinking champagne and enjoying ourselves and celebrating, that's just going to multiply even more. And on that point, make sure you're staying actually hydrated from water, because water actually combats some of the brain fog that we feel throughout the day. If you've ever noticed like midday slump, you're probably a little bit dehydrated, so make sure you just get enough water on the day. The physical component of getting yourself ready for your wedding, I think, is really underrepresented because we're like, oh my God, I have all of these other things to do. I have to like make the centerpieces. I have to make sure that all my bridesmaids aren't fighting each other. Like, maybe you don't have all of these different issues, but I'm sure you have different things that are pulling your attention away from your health. So self-care is where it's at. Give yourself enough time to sleep at night, stop working on whatever your wedding tasks are well in advance of 10 p.m. so that you can have time to like rest and relax a little bit. Again, proper nutrition, staying hydrated. And on the day, have the champagne, but just don't have so much that like you lose yourself, because then you won't remember and that'll be sad. Point number 4. Hire a day of event manager to make sure that everything goes smoothly and you don't have to worry about the tiny details. You've already spent so much time thinking about these tiny details, like why do you need to actually do that now? Okay, granted, I planned my whole wedding and I was my own event manager on the day, but that's like truly because I love it, because I just really enjoy planning and executing events, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. Maybe you're just like me. Maybe you really enjoy that element. So if that is you, then you're going to have to rely on all of the other points. But if that's not you, think about having somebody on the day, maybe you hire somebody, or maybe you assign a friend to do this for you, where they're going through your run sheet, which is like a really detailed itinerary for the whole entire day, and they're making sure everything is on track so you don't have to think about it. They're making sure you have your fancy gold pen over by your signing table. They're making sure that you have your champagne glasses for the toast. They're making sure that everything is organized and well taken care of so that you can just enjoy the day. And then you're going to fall back on all of the other points that I've already shared with you. Finally, tip number 5, just breathe. Literally, just breathe. If you find yourself spiraling and you're like, oh my God, like the what ifs and the anxiety that's coming at you, oh my God, just take a moment to breathe. Just slow in, slow out. You could do a box breath. So you breathe in for 4 counts, you hold it for 4 counts, you breathe out for 4 counts, you hold it for 4 counts. I know a lot of the worry about the day can kind of center around the ceremony, and then after that it's like, woohoo, it's a free-for-all. So this tip might come more in handy for you right before the ceremony. I know it definitely did for me. Just having a moment to breathe and be calm, and in your itinerary, plan just a few minutes by yourself or with your future spouse, and just like let nothing happen for a few minutes. Enjoy the nothingness. Just breathe into the moment. All that to say, if you practice mindfulness and physical well-being on the days leading up to your wedding, months leading up to your wedding, you will most likely have a much more enjoyable time. You will find it a lot easier to stay present in the moment, and you will find it way, way more joyful. If you found this episode useful, I'd be so grateful if you followed and shared this episode with a friend or your fiance. If you have questions about staying present, I'd be happy to share what I know to help. Drop me an email at emily@joyfactorweddings.com. I'll be back next Thursday with another wedding planning episode, so until then, keep it joyful. Thanks for listening to Joyful Wedding Planning. I hope you got something out of this episode, and hey, if you did, leave me a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. It helps me to find more listeners just like you so that we can take all the stress out of wedding planning and go from panic to joy-filled moments. Need help to plan your wedding? Book a call with me at joyfactorweddings.com. I can't wait to help you plan the wedding of your dreams. This podcast was produced by The Ultimate Creative. Learn more about producing your own podcast at theultimatecreative.com.